Hello friends, it's Dylan Young. Welcome back to my channel. It's been quite a while since my last post on here. I used to post on the Sitecore Discover channel, and now I want to get back to creating videos for this channel. Starting out, probably going to start with more Sitecore Personalize related content, just because that's what I know best. But I will be covering other topics throughout the rest of this year and into future years as well. So today, like I said, focus on Sitecore Personalize. The first topic is actually a topic I've covered on my own personal blog, which is the introduction of the Sitecore Assistant. Was introduced into Sitecore Personalize. This helps you write code for within Personalize. For those that aren't aware, most of the code that you write for Personalize is JavaScript or a flavor of JavaScript that runs server side. And so the scenario we're going to cover is creating a condition using the Sitecore AI Assistant. If you're not familiar with what a condition is, simply equate it to if you've worked with Sitecore XP. Sitecore XP had rules that you wrote in .NET. In Sitecore Personalize, you write these conditions or these blocks of code in JavaScript, and you're writing these server side. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. Because they're server side, the flavor or the version of JavaScript is a little outdated, which makes it really tricky even for a developer to write these conditions. So this new Sitecore AI Assistant is extremely useful for that use case. Now, if you're a marketer and you're thinking, oh, well, now I can use this AI assistant to create the conditions, I will say probably still better off for these conditions to be created using or for a developer. Now, it's going to really assist the developer in creating these conditions because some of the syntax was a little strange, I would say. If you're used to working with JavaScript or you've worked with modern JavaScript frameworks like TypeScript, or not TypeScript but Next.js, and you're used to things like TypeScript, the flavor of JavaScript is quite drastically different. So with that said, let's go on and jump into this. So as you can see, I have Personalize open currently. If we navigate over to the Developer Center, that's kind of still a hint that this should be done by a developer. You can see a list of conditions. Now, there are out-of-the-box conditions. Now, I'm assuming that you have Sitecore Personalize for this, and that you have the license for it. So there's kind of two kind of variations to conditions. There's the out-of-the-box conditions. These are the ones that are provided. Even if you have just Sitecore AI, you don't have this interface, you'd have these out-of-the-box conditions inside the page editor inside Sitecore AI. And then you can build these custom ones. I will show where they can be used within Personalize, these conditions, but you can also use them within Sitecore AI as well. Once you build them and you publish them, they will make it out to your Sitecore AI instance when you're creating an audience on the page editor. Use these conditions in an audience, even the custom ones. So we'll jump on over to the custom and we'll go ahead and click create. I'm going to call this demo 2. It's been a while since I last recorded. I created demo 1, realized I talked through it all, and then I realized I wasn't recording. Typical. So I'll click create, and now I'm going to walk through what I was showing in demo 1 again, which is essentially you get this view. It shows the code that you've written. You're not able to edit this or the code in this view. You have to kind of go into an edit view, but you can actually add tags. You can add additional details about this condition here. But to get access to the Sitecore AI Assistant tool, you have to go and click on Edit. So we'll go ahead and edit. And now we have this code assistant available. And we also can start making changes to the code that's here as well. We'll cover this in a second. There is this place where you configure the kind of parameters of your rule, but we'll cover that here in a second. You'll see how it's used. So once I click on Code Assistant, now we can see kind of like if you're used to using VS Code or Cursor, then you've seen this kind of Copilot showing up. It shows kind of 4 different options that we can start with, or we can kind of craft our own. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to say I'm a returning user. And well, let me rephrase this. Create a condition that looks at the current guest and determines if they are returning in the past X days. So I'll just fire that off and see what it comes back with. Sometimes it doesn't come back with anything, just revise what you said, and then eventually you'll get something back. So it doesn't really show us our code, but we can click on view. Now we can sort of see what we've got. And I think this is a good start. Let's just replace this. But I see an area where we might want to refine this. And one of the things I've done a lot when I've been crafting these conditions is I will copy the code and I'll paste it back here. Wish there was a way to do this. Hint, hint to the product team. But once I paste it back in, now I can kind of say, this looks good. This looks good. But it would be great if there was a parameter for determining if the user is or is not meeting the requirement of X days. Example. It's always good to give examples. This helps improve the model's ability to do what you're asking it to do. So an example, I want to see if the current guest has visited in the last 10 days. Another example would be if the current guest I can't spell, but it doesn't really matter. That's a great thing about LLMs today. You don't have to spell stuff correctly because it knows what you're trying to do. Another example would be if the current guest has not visited in the last 10 days. So it's going to take my code. It's going to look at my additional use case here, and then it's going to go ahead and add this visit condition into it. So now I have technically 2 parameters. And because of the fact that it could be has or has not, it's like a Boolean kind of toggle to this that you have to do a little bit more additional logic throughout. But what I'll do is I'll just replace this, and now we have pretty close to what I was looking for. So I'll go ahead and just save this real quick. One thing I do see missing, I actually talked about it in the demo 1, but I now know what it is. It's max should be 30 days. And so I'd actually prompted it last time and said, hey, it would be great if this had to be a maximum no more than 30 days. And there's data limitations from Personalize specifically, so you'd have to cap it to some degree anyways. But I think this makes sense. So actually now it has to be 1 to 30, which makes a lot of sense. And so with that part is done. Let's talk a little bit about the parameters. This is kind of more basic how to build conditions, but once you create all these parameters inside a condition, then you have to kind of phrase your condition. So if guest, let's just move this, visited in the past X days, or I could just call it days. Kind of phrased weird, but if guest visit condition visit in the past days sounds weird, but let's see where I see that. It's here. If guest has not visited in the past 30 days. So that's the way it would look when you're configuring it. So it's easier to read here. May not make much sense up here depending on what you've called these variables, and you can change these. Obviously you can change this first parameter to be a little bit better named, but yeah. So we'll save that. In a future video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about how you test conditions and test code in general throughout the Sitecore Personalize interface. And then let's back out and we'll publish this real quick. Since it pretty much is good. It's saying it's being used in 0 places. I could add a tag if I wanted to, but let's back out of this. And I want to just show where these get used. Obviously, like I said, they get used in Sitecore AI. But if you go into an experience, for example, you can actually use them in here as well. So the filter here, if you click on it, you can click Edit Filters, and then delete this visitor. I already had one set, probably to a different condition I created previously. You can now set a condition to either one of the out-of-the-box ones, or we can also specify our custom one. So click Demo 2, and like I said, these are the parameters that you previously saw. If the guest has not visited in the past 10 days, then then that's what this condition would be and would determine if this experience fires or not. So once that saves, I can come back, and whatever this was, if this, I think this is just using a simple alert bar, but whatever the experience was to see, this would only fire based on these conditions that you specify down here. And that concludes today's topic. Hopefully you've enjoyed. If it's been a long time or you've never been a part of this channel, please definitely subscribe. There's going to be a lot more content this year. I have a few others that I've already recorded, so more is on the way. And thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.